right, guys, we are diving into the rock cycle this lesson. So we started last lesson with minerals and how they form. Remember, three ways. And then we will find that most minerals then combine to form rocks. So this lesson is about the rock cycle. All right. Today, what's most important is you will find out three different terms that are very important. And we will start, if I could run this thing. The first one is this. By the end of this today, not even this whole lesson, you will need to be able to define weathering, erosion, and deposition. Maybe you've heard the words, maybe you haven't. But this is a major objective for this lesson, to define, give me the meaning of weathering, erosion, and deposition. Okay. Also today, after this PowerPoint, you will be able to describe what an igneous rock is, how it forms, what a metamorphic rock is, and, well, what a sedimentary rock is. Those are the three main kind of rocks, and we're going to spend a lot of time on that this week and next, okay? But igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary rock formations. And then we'll look today, but more so on the next lesson, on how rock changes as it goes through the rock cycle. Think of recycling, okay? It just continually keeps changing form. All right. And then our last lesson, which will be probably for you Monday or Tuesday, we're going to look at these three terms: uplift, subsidence, and rift zone. But for today, we are most worried about defining weathering, erosion, and deposition, and describing igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. Okay, standards for the state of Ohio. It's about the rocks. They have unique characteristics, and they form in different ways. That's most important for us today. All right, so if we look here, to fill in the blank with the word or phrase that you think correctly completes the following sentences. What do we think? Most of the earth is made of rock. And what do we think for this next block? Rock is always changing. Rock is never changing. Rock is sometimes changing. Well, it's always. All right, and back, maybe you know this as review or just from the slide before. Three main classes of rock: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. All right, so what do you think? How could you caption that photo? It looks kind of like it could be a big block of old cheese or something. They suggested it's made of smaller rock pieces, and we will find that that happens a lot. Okay, we're going to go through this. All right, so we're going to start with what is a rock, okay? And Earth is mostly made of rock, which is solid mixtures of one or more minerals that could possibly contain organic matter. So if we think back to minerals, they need to be inorganic, not made of anything living now or ever was living. But rocks could contain organic matter, and we'll see that especially with sedimentary. All right, and of course, humans have used rocks for thousands of years to make tools and to build things. Just going through some like 7 wonders of the world, if you've done for Mr. Decker, there's the Great Wall of China, of course, all rock. The Great Pyramids, Machu Picchu in Peru. Okay, that's all rock. All right, so you think in your daily life, is there a way that we use rock now? Okay, I hope things will be different when you are in 8th grade and this pandemic is over, but I used to always go with the 8th graders on their trip to Washington, D.C., and one of my highlights was going up in the Washington Monument. You can see from there those teeny windows, but you can see all over the city. All right, so how rock is used today is buildings, monuments. This is a monument. Roads, bridges, machines, tools, computers. It goes on and on and on. Rock in our daily life. Okay. So it's the first thing that you really need to know. And let's get our pen here, is the term weathering, okay? It is the process by which water, wind, ice, so weather, changes in temperature and breaks down rock. Okay, so that is one of the first things you need to know is what is weathering. So note that definition or write it down or come back to this if you need to. All right. Next important term you need to know is, let me see, pen is P, is this term sediment. Okay. That's the little pieces of rock that's broken into by weathering. So you will hear that term a lot. So sediment is the little pieces of rock that's broken into fragments. All right. Next, very important word is this. The process by which the sediment, so these little pieces of rock, are moved from one place to another is called erosion. And the key word here is moved. People tend to always miss this definition. Okay. Weathering is the breaking apart, erosion is the moving. Okay. You have to memorize that. All right. So again, water, wind, ice, gravity, they erode, so they move, okay? And then they are deposited in bodies of water or other low-lying areas. I want you to think if you would have a bank account or your parents, whoever you maybe go into the bank with, when you put money in, that is called, oops, sorry guys, that is called a, maybe, deposit. Okay. So when you drop something off, even at the library, of course, I don't even know if you guys go to the library anymore, but the Marion any library, you drop the books off. It's called the book deposit. Okay. So that's our next term, which is right here. The process where this comes to rest, you can notice all of this here. Okay. This area all here would be deposits. That is the word deposition with the root word deposit. Okay. So when it is dropped off or when it comes to rest, okay, that is called deposition. All right. So then they eventually become buried real deep. Heat and pressure change them into metamorphic rock, which we will look at here in a second. All right. So when magma comes to the earth, when it comes to the earth, it becomes lava, and we'll look at the differences in those words later. It cools and then becomes a new rock. If you remember, that was one of our 3 ways that minerals form. All right, so here are 3 classes of rock. First one is igneous. Igneous, okay? And that is when magma or lava cool and harden to become a solid. There are several that are famous, common, popular, granite being one. People make kitchen countertops out of that. Sorry, guys. And another one is maybe obsidian. You've seen it, but probably one of the most famous is granite. Pumice as well. Okay, those are 3 common igneous rocks. Okay, next is sedimentary. And that is when minerals that form from solutions, so you remember when the solution evaporates and leaves, or sediment from older rocks are pressed and cemented together. Limestone is a very common one. Many buildings are made of limestone. Sandstone as well. Okay. Again, we'll look at those more next lesson, but you need to be just familiar with the 3 types right now. Okay. And then last is metamorphic. Now, you might have remembered this from last lesson when we talked about the way minerals form, temperature and pressure. Okay. It changes. I don't know all your superheroes, but when they morph into something else, morph means change. So when they change into something else, that's metamorphic. Marble is probably one of the most common, or slate. They used to make roofs out of slate. Okay. So lastly, let's look at this chart, and we'll be referring to this a lot over the next few days. So sedimentary rock is made of sediments. Kind of makes sense. They're compressed, okay, pushed together, cemented together, and then they harden. Okay, igneous, do we remember? What do they form from? Magma and lava. Or in this phrase, they use the term molten rock, but that's magma and lava. Okay. Again, next lesson we'll look at this, but they are either intrusive or extrusive, which is the two kinds. Don't worry about that right now. And then last, we have metamorphic. Okay. And again, high pressure, high temperature. They morph into something else. All right. Okay. One more thing here. Rocks can seem to be very permanent, solid, and unchanging, but they will change into any other type. Okay, we're going to stop here with this lesson. You have questions that go along with this. Please, if you need to, redo it to up your grade. Again, weathering, breaking down of rock, erosion, movement of the sediment, deposition, the depositing or dropping off. Metamorphic rock is made from extreme heat and pressure. Igneous is made from molten or melted rock that hardens, and sediment is made when it is compressed together. All right. Hopefully you were able to